Your Excellency, sir, ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Your Excellency, Honorable Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Honorable Rigathi Gachagua, the Governor and the leadership of Nairobi County or elected leaders, the Chairman, Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mr. Kiprono Kitoni, Chairpersons and all stakeholders in the capital markets, Excellencies, Ambassadors and High Commissioners, ladies and gentlemen. With the gracious permission of Your Excellency, sir, I will now invite the Chief Executive Officer, Nairobi Securities Exchange, Mr. Geoffrey Odudo, to make some brief introductory remarks. Bwana Odudo, karibu sana.
Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Your Excellency, the Governor of Nairobi, all protocols observed. We're very happy to be hosting you today on your return visit to the Exchange. The last time you were here was in 2014 to inaugurate our building. Before you or with you here, Your Excellency, is a constellation of listed companies, issuers, potential issuers, owners of capital, and the Kenyan public who are following you also during the live stream, and our international partners who are also following us through Newswire channels. So we're very happy that you came home, and we're happy to receive you, and we wish and look forward to your message for this country. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If it pleases Your Excellency, sir, I will now invite the Governor of Nairobi City County, Bwana Johnson Sakaja, to welcome us officially to Nairobi City County. Governor, karibu.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Deputy President, Your Excellency. Allow me to associate myself with the protocol already established. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to join the capital markets stakeholders in Kenya as we host His Excellency the President for the launch of the NSE marketplace. This visit is a clear demonstration that the President and the entire government has placed a special focus on domestic capital mobilization, which is critical in supporting medium to long-term fiscal consolidation plans. Your visit, Your Excellency, highlights the government's efforts to stimulate private investments in public assets and projects with a view to strengthen the fiscal position of the country, reduce reliance on foreign debt, as well as boost economic recovery through capital markets. Your Excellency, the County Government of Nairobi is keen on positioning Nairobi as Africa's financial capital. And of course, for us to do that, we must partner with the capital markets. And I want to report to Your Excellency that one of the first visits when we got into office was by the Nairobi Securities Exchange. We are thinking of innovative ways of attracting capital to finance our projects in this city. Nairobi Water Company, for instance, needs close to 30 billion to sort out the sewerage and water issues in Nairobi. We need an infrastructure green bond for the city of Nairobi to do our metro, to do great infrastructure projects. Unless we creatively think of ways of financing these projects and Kenyans are willing to put their money in there, Your Excellency, we will not be able to achieve this. So we want to thank you for signaling your support and at the onset of your administration coming to support this securities exchange. We can make it. There are certain indicators that actually determine the place of a global city. And Your Excellency, I want to thank you for the support so far that you've given to Nairobi County for us to position ourselves as that capital. Your Excellency, working closely with partners like the Nairobi Securities Exchange, the Nairobi International Financial Center, Authority, Kenya Invest, amongst others, we can create Africa's leading investment hubs. We also look forward to partnering with the ministry, and I'm glad to see my brother, the incoming Minister for Trade and Investments, Trade and Industry, so that we can actually creatively think of how to engage our people. Your Excellency, many times you told Kenyans, especially when you went to the North Rift, that while they're dealing with stock theft, others are dealing with stock exchange. Now this is the Securities Exchange. Karibu sana, and I want to welcome everybody to Nairobi, and just to interest you, to partner with us, to change our thinking. We cannot solve today's problems with the same thinking that created them. Let us innovate, let us create together, and let's make Nairobi work. Thank you, Excellency, and karibuni sana, Nairobi.
Asante sana, Governor. Your Excellency, sir, with your permission, I will now invite the chairpersons of key capital market industry players to make some brief remarks. And with your permission, sir, I will invite Madam Aida Kememia, who is the chairperson, Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, to make some brief remarks. Madam Kememia, karibu sana.
Thank you. Your Excellency, the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, Your Excellency, the Deputy President, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, Cabinet Secretaries, government officials, the Governor of Nairobi, CMA Chairman, NSE Chairman, CDSC Chairman, representatives actually of the capital markets industry, invited guests, all protocols observed. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. So today marks an important occasion in the capital market space as the Nairobi Securities Exchange launches its enhanced marketplace, an initiative that seeks to improve the efficiency of trading operations of the exchange. As a key stakeholder in the capital markets ecosystem, we applaud this initiative and appreciate how such developments contribute to our collective efforts of increasing investor confidence and participation in our industry. Your Excellency, the capital market has come a long way since independence, when the government adopted a policy to ensure the transfer of economic and social control to its citizens. We credit the government for catalyzing the growth of the capital markets through the privatization of public companies via the NSE. However, while private and government-owned entities were steadily going through public listing on the NSE, a key ingredient was missing to ensure that this new wealth creation benefited Kenyans at large. What was missing was an efficient platform that would allow broader access to the capital markets and faster transfer of wealth and opportunities among investors. Indeed, it was the government's proactive approach to bringing efficiency in clearing and settlement processes of listing securities that resulted in the passing of the Central Depository Act, and this act provided a legal basis for the formation of the Central Depository and Settlement Corporation, CDSC, in 2004. The CDSC, Your Excellency, was formed to provide trust in the market through depository and settlement. As a core provider of these services for the past 18 years, we have continued to give investors and issuers peace of mind regarding the safety and availability of their assets, as well as the timely delivery of their securities following trading at the exchange. We are proud of the enabling environment that our operations continue to provide to our industry and, more importantly, to the people of Kenya. Through the years of operations, we have facilitated the onboarding of 1.6 million investors who have participated in various IPOs, including most notably KenGen and Safaricom IPOs, which remain the largest listings to date. By holding all records of investors and listed securities electronically, we have brought down settlement times. For some of the gray-haired ones in the room, you might recall that it used to take over 2 weeks to settle a trade. But now, in line with international standards, we are within 3 days of a trade to ensure that both buyers and sellers of securities can access their shares and funds, respectively, within international accepted timelines. We also ensured that our market was fully dematerialized to facilitate efficiency and guarantee the security of investor assets by having their shareholding in electronic format in our central depository system. Your Excellency, we have sought to enhance the value proposition of our market to both local and international investors by making significant enhancement to our systems and our security. In 2020, we were rated highly by an international accrediting agency. Part of our efforts to increase the attractiveness of our local markets has been through innovation and development of new products that attract a wide variety of customers. Through the Securities Lending and Borrowing, or SLB platform, we have made it possible for investors to make money both during bull and bear market conditions. And most importantly, SLB is giving our institutional clients like pension schemes, the options of increasing their investment returns while still enjoying shareholder benefits, which is a win-win for them and a win for pension clients alike, and a win for the entire market. In closing, I would say, Mr. President, we appreciate the benefits cannot be transformative to the general public if investors do not have easy access to our products and services. To this end, we have made significant strides by partnering with the NSE, stockbrokers, custodian banks, and developed systems that allow automation of the system, so account opening, maintenance of accounts, giving Kenyans real equal access to opportunities in the market. Your Excellency, we know, and you've mentioned it, that you are passionate about growing the savings culture of our nation, and we believe we can be a valuable partner in helping you achieve this noble vision. CDSC and the entire industry is ready to work with your government to grow our capital markets and make Kenya a financial hub and investment destination of choice for both local and international businesses and investors. CDSC will continue to make steady and positive steps to facilitate and offer sustainable and self-wealth creation options for our customers, and we commit to continue facilitating secure, transparent, and efficient marketplaces that make progress for all investors. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Madam. And now, Your Excellency, Mr. Nicholas Nesbitt, who is the Chairperson, Capital Markets Authority. Mr. Nesbitt, karibu.
Thank you. Your Excellency, Dr. William Samoei Ruto, President of the Republic of Kenya and Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, Your Excellency, Deputy President, Mr. Rigathi Gachagua, all invited and distinguished guests, good morning. I'm extremely delighted to join you all today on this momentous occasion for the bell ringing by the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. Your Excellency, this historic official visit to the Nairobi Securities Exchange a month into your presidency speaks volumes about your personal commitment and your government's commitment to supporting the aspirations of the capital markets industry and amplifies your drive to increase savings in the country. We appreciate your very kind visit. Your Excellency, in my brief remarks, I'd like to make just 3 points. Number one, we must create more education, excitement, and products for the investing citizens. The capital markets has been a critical catalyst in mobilization of savings and investments towards productive enterprise in Kenya. We know that. We have offered citizens the opportunity to generate a healthy return on their investments in the Securities Exchange and intend to continue to do so. And over the last 25 years, we've welcomed the government's role in increasing the number of opportunities for investment by divesting equity via the NSE. 3 IPOs, Kenya Airways, KenGen, and Safaricom, raised 60 billion shillings and brought in 1.2 million new retail investors as the government democratized national asset ownership. On the debt side, the capital market has similarly financed key infrastructural projects in Kenya, notably the KenGen Public Infrastructure Bond and several government infrastructure bonds, raising over 1.2 trillion in 13 years, about 100 billion shillings per year on average. These debt listings have also increased Kenyans' saving options, and therefore going forward, Your Excellency, the CMA will work closely with your government, the NSE and CDSC to encourage more listings of both public and private entities. In addition, Your Excellency, to support ordinary citizens to save and create wealth through the capital markets, we have rolled out collective investment schemes, unit trusts. These allow retail investors to pool funds and have them managed by a professional fund manager licensed by the CMA. The assets under management of collective investment schemes have tripled from 2014 until today, from 54 billion shillings to 150 billion shillings. That's growth of about 15% per year. Traditional capital market products, namely shares, are still active. However, the volumes are low, mainly because the public has stayed away from share ownership. Perhaps it was since the last significant IPO, which was Safaricom in 2007, they have not seen very much activity. There's not been very much to speculate on. I think, as we were saying on a light note, people don't quite understand what the Securities Exchange is and what can be done here. There's also been some feedback from the public about the economic realities. And therefore, Your Excellency, the CMA will continue to invest further in outreach programs to encourage our ecosystem of partners, many of whom are in this room, to educate the investing public on how to create wealth in the capital markets, many of whom are. But we still have lots of work to do to facilitate increased investor activity every year. Which leads me to my second point, Your Excellency. We must make the capital markets more attractive to the supply side, to the companies who want to use the capital markets in their financing strategies. Several years ago, Your Excellency, you engaged the capital markets fraternity and asked, what do we need to do differently? You asked several questions. You asked where the listed companies, anchor investors, could cede less than 25%. Was there an issue for them? You asked why MSMEs were not accessing cheaper long-term funds from the capital market instead of going for the more expensive short-term funding. And we know in the capital markets, if you raise your money here and your company runs into trouble, nobody comes to evict you. Your Excellency, we took up your challenge and engaged MSMEs to listen to their concerns and appreciate what would attract them to the capital markets. In the process, we've demonstrated our commitment to supporting their financing journeys, and the NSE has consequently onboarded 33 of them into the Ibuka Incubator Program. And as we said earlier, we're going to accelerate how many of those can go higher and list on the larger boards. After listening to these stakeholders, CMA overhauled regulations on capital raising, what's known as the Draft Public Offers Listing and Disclosures Regulation, and we're now waiting for those regulations to be gazetted. There are 5 key reforms, basically making it easier, lowering the requirements, increasing the scope of companies that can raise capital, allowing the waiving of regulatory costs for deserving firms, and significantly lowering the costs of compliance. Your Excellency, the third point I'd like to make is that the CMA is focused heavily on promoting innovation in this space. You recently pronounced that we need to fully leverage the fintech space to enable small investors to access affordable capital. CMA introduced a regulatory sandbox in 2020, a safe place where businesses can test innovative products, innovative services, and innovative business models in conjunction with CMA to develop the appropriate regulatory guidelines. For example, we have witnessed an influx of interest in blockchain and digital assets-related applications, which have raised the need for the CMA to study the global trends and create our policies within the space. The sandbox has attracted great interest from the youth, from private equity and venture capital players. 12 have come in, 6 have exited, and the most recent one being Possession, a debt crowding platform. We've looked at your Kenya Kwanza manifesto and coffee sector, which have dramatically slowed by the recently gazetted regulations by the Ministry of Agriculture. We need the capital markets to continue to oversee greater transparency and higher prices. In housing and settlement, we will continue to push real estate investment trusts, real estate development trusts. We saw the listing of Acorn and Kenya Mortgage Refinance Company. And on infrastructure, we'll continue to push county project bonds, and we heard from my good friend, Governor Sakaja, about Nairobi. With those few remarks, Your Excellency, as I get pulled off stage, I'm only on page 3, Mr. Wanjohi. But let me just reiterate the CMA's commitment to increasing the saving opportunities for Kenya, creating opportunities for companies to benefit from a revamped and revitalized and more market-focused capital markets, and our commitment to continue to drive innovation in all areas to help us get there. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Your Excellency. It's an exciting day for the stock markets, and you would understand that they have taken a bit longer. I request the next speaker kindly. We have to ring the bell at exactly 9:30, so I request the chairperson, Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Banks, to come forward and recognize pioneer trading partners. Kindly, 5 minutes, kindly.
Your Excellency, the President, riding on all protocols already established, honorable guests, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Your Excellency, on Monday, 5th September 2022, the Nairobi Securities Exchange reacted positively to the Supreme Court ruling upholding your victory by gaining 42 billion on that trading day alone. On that day, as we received trading orders from our local and foreign clients, this reaction by investors was the clearest indication that the market embraced your win and that it has confidence in your stewardship of the Kenya economy generally and the financial markets in particular. Your Excellency, the support you have accorded the industry over the years is unprecedented, unmatched, and appreciated. What many people do not know and what we would like to highlight today is how instrumental you have been in guiding the innovation of the new capital markets products like Ibuka and M-Akiba. As the Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Banks, we have always been and remain sincerely grateful for your support. As you embark on the task of implementing the government agenda, we confirm that the industry is willing, ready, and eager to offer our support. We seek to hold hands with government and generate capital to complement the government initiatives aimed at raising funds and growing the well-being of Kenyans. On 5th September, when the stock market investors embraced your win, they also embraced your economic agenda and your manifesto, which shall spur economic development. Your Excellency, we are here to play our part in building the Kenya you have so vividly dreamed and have tirelessly spoken of. Your Excellency, on behalf of the fraternity of licensed trading participants, I assure you of our commitment in fulfilling the government agenda as outlined in the 5 pillars of the manifesto. As an industry, we exist for mobilizing savings for investment. That is what we do for a living. This resonates with your national agenda of encouraging a saving and investing population. We are the last mile to Wanjiko. We are here to support, educate, and encourage her to invest, and we are on the ground. Your Excellency, allow me to echo what will be the Chairman's humble request that your administration consider favorably the privatization of state-owned enterprises. This is how we shall democratize ownership of national assets and ensure that all Kenyans have equal opportunity to wealth, and that all Kenyans take advantage of their birthright, this Nairobi Securities Exchange. There can be no better example of a bottom-up solution than this, where Kenyans are financially empowered and given the opportunity to be shareholders in state-owned enterprises through the stock market. Additionally, a strong capital markets where companies in their ordinary course of business raise funds from the market is a critical check and balance to keeping commercial bank lending rates low. In addition to government IPOs, we also place for your consideration the support of county governments issuing issuances like county bonds with the backing of central government. If structured and ring-fenced well, these securities shall provide the much-needed additional source of funding for projects at county level, mitigate the over-reliance on national government with effects truly felt by Wanjiku. Finally, Your Excellency, we remain committed to the government agenda and with humility express our interest to be part of the team that shall deliver the national dream of rebuilding the Kenya economy. Your Excellency, we remain dedicatedly at your service. Thank you very much. It is now with great pleasure that I introduce a market player known to most of you, Mr. Jimna Mbaru, Chairman of Dyer and Blair Investment Bank and former Chairman of the Nairobi Securities Exchange from 1992 to 2001, a period of 9 years, to introduce to us the pioneer stockbrokers at the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Karibu sana, Chairman Emeritus.
Your Excellency, the President, the Deputy President, the Governor of Nairobi, Ministers, all protocols observed. Traditionally, I know the bell has to be rang exactly on the spot, and I do not intend in any way to deviate from the practice which has been there globally and which we have embraced here in the Republic of Kenya. Now, I want to say this, that we are very lucky, Your Excellency, that you have been able to make it to the stock exchange. There were 4 other presidents who had come here before. We hosted Honorable His Excellency Museveni, President of Uganda, in the 90s. We also hosted the late President Arap Moi on 2 occasions. And in fact, in 1998, he came exactly 1 month after he was elected, exactly the way you have done. He also came again in the same decade, and he rang the bell also. We hosted President Mwai Kibaki, the late Mwai Kibaki, more than 4 times. We even had on occasion to give him 3 lunches. And therefore, we are very, very lucky indeed. I also want to say that we hosted the Secretary of Treasury of U.S. government, and if we had more time, I would have explained how elaborate that procedure was, but it was very difficult, but we did it. So it's grateful that, and we are delighted that you have been able to come. You are the 5th international leader to come here, and you are the 5th President of the Republic of Kenya. We are truly blessed. My job is very little, is to introduce the original pioneers of this industry. And the first one is Honorable Genye Kariuki, who was the chairman for 12 years. Genye Kariuki. Then we have James Wangunyu. James Wangunyu is the chairman of SIB, Bob Kalina, and Dennis Waweru, who is here. And we have Stanley Gaine. We have James Moligo. We have Dungu Gadenji, who is not here. We have Field Marsham of Kestrel, who may not be here. The late Francis Duo was also a great founder. Paul Mwai is here, and James Moligo, and finally myself. Over the years, and I don't want to take any more time, you know, the stock exchange has played a very important role in the localization of industries, privatizations, and even helping banks to recapitalize. But the most important thing we did during Kibaki's era is to develop the bond market, which continues even today to help the government to raise insufficient resources to finance the economy. Thank you very much indeed. If I had time, I would have said a few more, but time does not allow. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now, Your Excellency, the chairperson, Mr. Kiprono Kitoni, the chairperson. chairperson, Nairobi Securities Exchange. Bwana Kiprono, karibu sana, Bwana Chairman.
Your Excellency, the President, Your Excellency, the Deputy Leaders, and fellow hustlers. And I say that in earnest, Your Excellency, because my friend Benson Wairegi once told me the story of how he began life with Jim Nambaru, and we know the story of Equity Bank as well. And Your Excellency, these owners of capital are actually hustlers made good. So they are really in line with what you've been saying. Good morning. We welcome you this morning. It's a great pleasure, it's an honor and a privilege to welcome the 5th President of the Republic and his Deputy President to the Nairobi Securities Exchange. Coming so early in your reign, it shows the significance that you place on our market, and it marks a very special day not just for the NSE, but for the entire capital market ecosystem in this country. We are the 5th largest exchange in Africa, certainly the most dynamic in sub-Saharan Africa, and we are a bellwether, like many other exchanges are, in which you can tell the economic performance of a nation through the performance of an exchange. Your presence here today is significant. It's a testament of your commitment to priority economic reforms aimed at supporting medium to long-term economic growth, an increase in employment opportunities, as well as reducing fiscal vulnerabilities in our economy. As you've rightfully pronounced on various platforms, local capital markets are an important economic tool, if well harnessed, have a unique potential to accelerate sustainable economic growth needed to broaden prosperity and reduce poverty in a country driving wealth creation. Similarly, Mr. President, deeper and more efficient equity and debt markets provide an effective and efficient way of mobilizing domestic resources and international capital, complementing traditional financing through fostering risk and long-term investments. Through this, public capital markets play a bigger role in channeling private capital in sectors with financing needs such as infrastructure, agriculture, housing, health, small and medium-sized enterprises, amongst others. Further, domestic capital markets help protect economies from volatile fluctuations in capital flows and reduce their dependency on foreign debt, which weighs heavily on economies, especially ours here. Your Excellency, over the last few years, the NSE has made significant investments aimed at enabling us to offer world-class services through a world-class market infrastructure anchored on a globally recognized investment products and cutting-edge technology. The NSE has been successful in South Africa, and I recognize Trevor Manuel here, the chairman of Old Mutual. From a technology point of view, the NSE has adopted best-in-class technology, deploying similar technological capabilities offered by the leading exchanges in the world, such as the London Stock Exchange. Despite investments to enhance market infrastructure, our market has not experienced commensurate, robust growth over the last 10 years. In fact, the last few years have been particularly depressing. The situation has decreased domestic and foreign direct investment in our country that is usually channeled through the capital markets. In our view, Kenya, being one of the most promising frontier economies in the world, may soon not have the public capital markets to match the dynamism if the challenge is not adequately addressed. Your Excellency, capital markets are driven by sentiments, and the positive sentiment of your victory lifted the market, as Mr. Wangbunyu said. But I'm certain that today, your presence here and the pronouncements that you will make will lift the market even further and inspire confidence not just by the owners of capital, but by the investing public out there. At the moment, 65% of all the funds trading in our market are foreign funds, and 35% are local funds. But I'm certain that there's a lot that we can do to stimulate the local economy to participate more in retail investing. And you've been very passionate yourself about the public doing more in gaming than they are on the stock market. And we completely ascribe to that school of thought. It is against that background, Your Excellency, that we launched the NSE Marketplace, an initiative that seeks to revive market activity and boost growth in our domestic capital market through addressing both the supply and the demand side to accelerate growth. The NSE marketplace will provide a platform for Kenya to communicate investment opportunities to the world, positioning the country as a hub for trade and investments, enabling Kenya to attract FDI across various leading emerging sectors in Kenya through the NSE. NSE marketplace will help highlight opportunities for global companies looking for international expansion, specifically in Africa. And we recognize you now, in only 1 month of leadership, as a champion for Africa, to consider listing on this market. Equally, working closely with local and international media, the NSE marketplace will open the trading floor for access to all media houses and all stakeholders and our partners to communicate investment and economic-related information from the NSE, increasing awareness of opportunities in Kenya. You might want to know that the NSE today is actually one of the leading vendors of information on financial activity. Additionally, the NSE marketplace will help accelerate listing routes for leading companies through offering client-focused advisory and guidance to potential issuers, significantly reducing the time to market. Your Excellencies, I highlight these opportunities, and I must shorten my speech because the market must open in 5 minutes, in 2 minutes. So I'll actually go straight to the conclusion. Over the past 2 decades, the government has leveraged the Kenyan capital markets to raise capital to finance various projects, as well as to transfer ownership of assets through privatization. As you mark your first visit to the exchange, Mr. President, it is our humble request that your administration rejuvenates the privatization program. The privatization of state-owned enterprises will mark a decisive point in broadening Kenya's appeal to both domestic and international investors. That is our main ask today. We equally request the government to consider releasing additional shares in already listed companies, KCB, Safaricom, and the likes, enabling us to increase more opportunities, revitalize interest among Kenyans, as well as to help address corporate governance issues. I'm sure, Mr. President, you agree with me that many parastatals today, if they were listed, you would not have an issue with governance. Today, some companies like Safaricom, Equity, they're leading on ESG, and we must continue to emulate them. Your Excellency, I have no more time, so I will cut my speech there. And I want to conclude by really appreciating you for appointing Moses Kuria as the Minister for Trade and Investment. I've known Mheshimiwa for a long time, and I knew him as a hard-nosed, sharp-tongued politician. I did not know he was a business consummate leader like he is. The last few days of interacting, sir, we are confident that under his stewardship, we will go places. With those few and many words, and the rest I will share with you because there's no more time, we would like to invite you, Your Excellency, to open the market through the bell ringing. Thank you, sir.
Welcome, Your Excellency. Thank you. Welcome, sir.
Very much. So